In October 1957, the Soviet Union placed a 184-pound aluminum sphere into low Earth orbit. The satellite broadcast a simple radio pulse, but it proved to the world that an intercontinental ballistic missile could now reach any point on the globe. The psychological shockwave hit the United States instantly. Newspapers exploded with stories tracking the man-made moon, and Americans realized that they were falling behind a rival autocracy in a technology race they assumed they were already winning. The initial American response deepened the embarrassment. When the U.S. Navy attempted to launch its Vanguard satellite, the rocket exploded on the launch pad in front of a live television audience. This early tactical humiliation forced the U.S. government to completely restructure its scientific and military infrastructure. President Eisenhower and Congress rapidly mobilized, pouring vast sums into education and research to close the gap. 12 years after that initial panic, the United States landed astronauts on the moon, while the Soviet lunar program crashed probes into the surface. To get there, the federal government unleashed capital at a scale the world had never seen, and created defense initiatives like DARPA to ensure the country would never face another technological surprise. Meanwhile, the rigidly closed, command-driven Soviet economy struggled to sustain its momentum. They could manage high-profile prototype launches, but they failed to keep pace with the collaborative output of a heavily funded Western alliance. America won the space race because an open, allied system, when properly motivated by a crisis, can coordinate resources and scale technology at a rate an autocracy cannot match. In October 2025, China's Ministry of Commerce issued announcements 55 through 62, a sweeping set of rare earth export controls, restricting the materials and refining technologies that power modern defense systems and artificial intelligence. China controls 98% of global primary gallium production, essential for advanced military radar and next-generation semiconductors. The restrictions go beyond raw materials. Under the Foreign Direct Product Rule, any foreign company relying on Chinese materials or technology now faces strict licensing choke points. In immediate retaliation, President Donald Trump escalated the trade conflict, announcing an additional 100% tariff on all Chinese goods to punish what he described as the weaponization of global supply chains. Beijing's aggressive export ban is a modern projection of power mirroring the original Soviet flex. By restricting global access to critical minerals, they accidentally triggered a massive, organized global response. The U.S. Department of Defense immediately pivoted to subsidize domestic mineral supply chains, injecting capital into an industrial base that had been offshore for decades. The Pentagon committed a $400 million equity investment and a $150 million loan directly to MP Materials to expand domestic refining capacity in the United States. But building a rare earth supply chain from mine to magnet is slow and capital-intensive. Digging a new open-pit mine and building the necessary chemical processing facilities takes years of permitting and environmental planning. Even with heavy federal subsidies, domestic U.S. operations alone mathematically cannot offset China's 30-year head start in physical infrastructure and processing expertise. Securing the supply chain requires moving beyond domestic subsidies. The United States needs a high-volume international partner fully aligned with its own trade principles. This geopolitical vacuum creates an opening for India, a nation holding the world's fifth-largest reserves of critical minerals. The United States and India are now finalizing a critical minerals agreement designed to integrate their manufacturing supply chains and bypass Chinese export bans. To capture this fleeing capital, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman structured the 2026-2027 Indian budget to attract foreign investment, implementing full custom duty exemptions for imported mineral processing equipment. The Indian government ended decades of state-controlled stagnation by reforming their mining laws, formally incentivizing private companies to prospect for these strategic elements. With these reforms, India offers a unique combination: the necessary geographical reserves paired with the democratic alignment to finally build a supply chain outside of Beijing's control. Relying on an autocracy that can enact overnight export bans carries catastrophic supply risks. Legally binding contracts in allied democracies offer a far more stable foundation for multi-billion-dollar manufacturing lines. Weaponizing a monopoly destroys the trust that markets require to function. Instead of waiting for a policy reversal, global capital shifts toward whichever rival is prepared to build a replacement. China spent 30 years building its chokehold. The West and India face a compressed 5-year window to achieve the same scale. Can India execute reforms fast enough to absorb global capital before manufacturing lines stall completely? History reliably punishes complacency. To secure the next wave of defense and energy infrastructure, the US-India alliance has to treat this critical mineral race with the exact same existential urgency that broke the original Sputnik crisis.